Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the brand new palette from W7. This is the gorgeous Show Off palette. Look at this packaging. I'm in love. I'm actually in love. It is now Sunday the 13th as I am filming. This palette literally came out on Thursday. One of my subscribers actually made me aware of it. Thank you very much, Barbara, because it made me really happy that this palette existed. And then the next day, on Friday, the palette literally turned up in my letterbox. So I would also like to thank W7 for sending me this palette. Quick disclaimer, they haven't sent me the palette in exchange for anything. They're not asking me to make a review. I'm making a review because I'm really excited about this palette, and you guys know I love trying new makeup and giving you my thoughts, and if I can throw a rant in there, I'm also normally quite happy. W7 is a super affordable UK based brand which is mostly known for creating dupes of much more expensive palettes, and you can purchase the items on their own websites as well as stores like B&M and all those cheaper stores, and sometimes they even turn up in TK Maxx, although often there they've already been swatched by everyone, so it's not really helpful. As you may have already guessed from the packaging, this particular palette is a dupe for the Anastasia, Beverly Hills and Amrezy palette. Look at that. It looks amazing and I can't wait to stick my gross fingers into it. The Amrezy palette came out earlier this year, and while I initially wasn't super interested in it, the more looks I saw people doing with it, the more I kind of felt like I wanted it, but it was also £49, so I just never got around to getting it. So we are going to jump into the review right now, and I'm going to do it in my usual format. We are going to start off with the details of the palette and follow it up with some swatches. Then we'll jump into an eye look, which I haven't planned, so I have no idea how it's going to go right now. And after using it, I will give you my final first impressions on the palette. So here is the W7 Show Off palette. First of all, the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. It is of course inspired by the glittery packaging of the original palette, so they haven't tried super hard on this one, but I'm okay with that because it's gorgeous and it's definitely one of the prettiest palettes that I own from them. It is actual glitter as well, it's not like a print or anything, but when I rub my finger on it, it seems to stay on pretty well, so I'm quite happy with that because I don't want to end up with glitter all over my desk and inside my drawers. On the back, as always, we have our diagram of the shadows, and then we have over here the ingredient lists. We have 4 different formulas, and what I do like to do with W7 is just quickly compare them to the other palettes that I have to see if it's going to be a formula that I've liked in the past. And while these formulas didn't seem to be identical to the other palettes that I had, they do seem to be a bit closer to the formulas from the Total Eclipse palette, which was my least favourite from them. So I'm a little bit concerned right now. The palette has a shelf life of 18 months, and we do also have a warning that the palette is not intended for use on the eyes. This is because, as is often the case with W7, this is a pressed pigment palette. I've never had any issues with using these on my eyes. I sometimes get a little bit of staining. We do have the total weight as well on the back of the palette, which is 10.5 grams, and the palette retails for £6.95. So we are looking at the exact same weight and price as their Whatever palette, which was a dupe for the Riviera palette, and our cost per gram is 66p, which is very affordable. Now, what may have jumped to your mind when I mentioned that this is the same weight as their dupe for the Riviera palette is that this means that this palette only contains 14 shades compared to the 16 in the Amrezy palette. I was one of those people who was a little bit annoyed that they put 16 shades in. One thing that I really like about ABH is the consistency in the size and shape of their palette. So when they added 2 shades on, it's just so silly, but it made the palette a little bit longer, and then it kind of just didn't fit in with the rest. But what W7 have actually done is just removed 2 shades from the original palette. So I believe that the entire top row is still present in this palette. So we have all of these shades. I've just stuck my finger in a shade. We have all of these shades at the top that are the same. Then this one over here called Flash would have been at the end of the line in the other palette. And then when we look at the second row, we are missing 2 of the matte shades, which, to be fair, looked quite similar to some of the other shades in the palette. We had another kind of medium brown like this, and then another dark brown, so I'm not mad that they've removed those. I was gonna say it gives us 5 mattes to 9 metallics, glitters, shimmers, whatever, but actually that one has a bit of shimmer. So we only have 4 true mattes. I don't feel like it's gonna be a massive problem. At least I hope it isn't. We'll see. We'll see how we get along. We do, as always, have a mirror, which you guys know I'm not massively fussed about. And then we do, as always, have a double-ended brush, similar to the ones that you get in the Anastasia palettes. Again, I'm not fussed. I'm not going to end up using it. I would just rather they cut off the bottom of the palette and just gave us something slightly smaller and it would be less wasteful. Anyway, all I can think about right now is how much I want to swatch these. So that is exactly what we are going to do right now. So first up we have the shade Flirt, which feels very buttery but is barely visible on my skin. Sorry, that was Fantasy. Off to a great start today, aren't we? Next up we have the shade Flirt. Oh, I like the reflect on that one. It's very, very pretty. Next up we have Icon. It's like an orange and a pink glitter. Very nice. Then we have Pose. Then Ruler. And then we have Loud. Ooh, okay. Now these do feel really, really creamy, and I do remember reading on the website that there is some sort of cream formula. If you guys have watched my videos before, you will know that I am not a huge fan of cream formulas. I don't really like the way that they apply on my eyes. I don't know if these might be some of them. They did feel pretty buttery. Oh, they are some gorgeous colours. I really, really like the look of these. Look at that pigmentation. Okay, let's carry on. We then have VIP, which is another pressed glitter. And this one also has some orange in it, but then some black as well. So interesting. Then we have Flash. And then we have Proud. Again, good pigmentation on those ones. Next up is Attitude. Again, so buttery. Then we have Parade, and then we have Boast. I like the look of that shade. That looks really nice, and I don't feel like I really have anything like it in my collection. Ooh. Okay, the next one is gonna be pretty pigmented, I think, because I've dipped my finger in and it's crumbled. So we have Influence. This is Rebel, which is a matte black. Those are some good swatches. I feel like these might be some of the best swatches I've gotten out of a W7 palette before. There are definitely some colours in here that remind me of the Whatever palette or the Riviera, but I'm pretty pleased with these. I'm excited to get them on my eyes. I'm gonna go and pop my P. Louise base on and try and decide what I'm gonna do, because right now I have no idea, but I'll be right back and we'll jump into the eye look. All right guys, my eyes are primed and I am so excited to jump into this palette after those swatches. Also, I am filming at the start of this September heat wave that we are having, and I'm already boiling. If you hear the fan on in the background, I'm sorry, it's because I'm not coping. Which colour should we go in with first? Oh, I'm really not sure. I can't decide. I feel like I really want to use this. Will it work if I blend? Oh, I don't know what's gonna work. I don't know. I'm scared. Okay, right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump into Influence, which is the brown, which definitely has a lot of kick up in the pan. I'm taking it on a Morphe M456, and this one is going to go into my crease. Well, thank you very much, kind neighbour. I didn't want to do any talking in this video anyway. So this is after just going in once. I haven't actually gone in and picked up any more product. I know it's a brown, they're not the hardest shades to formulate, but not a bad start. Pick up some more. Oh, okay, that was a lot more than I wanted. It does have a lot of kick up, so I am trying to take off the excess, but that's gone in a little bit stronger than I wanted it to. Let's try and smudge that around. I have a nasty feeling now it's just gonna be patchy. You hurt me, no, okay, it's blending in quite well. Very nice. I find it hard to commit, but you don't even try. It's definitely done the patchiness thing on both sides, so when I've gone back in for more product, it's immediately kind of all caught on in one place. So there is a little bit of blending to be done after that. I mean, I don't really mind. For just under £7, if it just takes me 2 dips into the palette to get a good colour, I'm not gonna complain. Yeah, that isn't bad at all. I'm quite pleased with that for my first shade. So next up, I'm gonna go into Boast on a Zova 231. Seems to pick up pretty well, not quite as easily as the first one. It doesn't have the same amount of kick up, but we'll see how it performs. I don't even know if this is gonna work. I'm just gonna try blend the first shade out with it. Yeah, I would say we're definitely not looking at the same pigmentation with this one as we did with the first one, but then at the same time I'm blending out anyway, so I don't want to go in too strong. We run and go still every time. Whatever it is, I keep on trying. 'Cause it ain't hard to forgive when you know what it's like. That's why I'm better with and without you. I would say there is a little bit more of a patchiness to this one. I do also think it's a bit of a shame that there isn't a lighter pink, although that is more to do with the original colour story, but I feel like it would help a little bit right now. Right, next up, even though it's not fully matte, I am going to go into Fantasy on my Morphe M443, and this is picking up really, really well. So I'm going to get rid of that fallout because I don't want it to be too strong. I'm just going to try and soften out this edge. I don't necessarily feel like this is one of my neatest blends so far. I'm just not the biggest fan of having to blend out on my brow bone with satiny semi-matte shadow. I do feel like that's toned down Boast a bit too much for me, so I'm just going to add some more. Then back in with my Morphe brush, but no extra product, just blending. I don't want to lose any more of the colour. Okay, I feel like it's not bad now that it's a bit more blurred out. Don't mind the outer corner, it's messy right now, but we'll get back to it. I feel like I do want to deepen it a little bit, so I am going to go into Rebel on my Morphe M506. Can't tell if I'm picking anything up, there's not really any kick up. Let's pop that into the outer corner. Literally just going to focus it here and then just bring it down underneath as well. Then I'm going to go back into my Morphe M456 into my first shade, try and soften it out, bring it inwards a bit more. Don't really know if I needed to use that first shade. I feel like maybe just blending the pink in with the black would have been enough. I'm just going to add some more of Boast. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have used Influence at all. I don't really feel it makes sense. Let me take that big Morphe brush as well. I do like to use it to kind of just run over everything. And then I'm just going to take some of Boast underneath as well. And again, use the Morphe brush to blend. Just again, adding a bit more of Boast. I don't know how I feel about this right now. Let me add a bit more black. This does look quite messy, and I didn't need to use one of those shades, and I think we need a lighter pink. Whatever it is, it's weird because I kind of feel like it's got a strong colour, but it also doesn't look that impressive. Like, I don't know. It's not super exciting right now. Let's carry on anyway. I'm going to go off camera, cut my crease, and then we'll come back. Let's have a play with some of the shimmers. Maybe I will feel a little bit better about things when I do. Alright, so my cut crease is now on. As I was kind of removing the eyeshadow, which is what I do first before going on with the P. Louise base, I did feel like the shadow felt a little bit transparent, particularly Boast. And that is something that I kind of felt with the darker shades in the Total Eclipse. So, not super impressed with that one. What do I do now? I don't know. Right, let's start with Flirt, which kind of feels like a bit of a glitter. It's not showing up massively, but it's okay. There we go, yeah. It's a pretty crumbly one. I'm gonna apply that all along the top or front of that cut crease, whatever you want to call it. This is gonna end up looking similar to what I did in the Total Eclipse video at this rate, isn't it? Right, I'm gonna jump into my next shade, just using the same brush. I forgot to say this is just like a flat eyeshadow brush. I'm gonna use Attitude. You swatched so well. Okay, yeah, they're definitely the more creamy formula. Not impressed with that. You know what? I'm gonna take my Morphe M124. I'm gonna go into Proud. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. But you don't even try. Still I'm better with than without you. I don't have too much to say about that one. It's fine. It's not the best metallic shade ever, but I will take it. I'm not going to blend straight away. I think next I also want to try Pose, just on another flat brush. Yeah, they do have that more creamy, chunky texture. Not sure the colour combo really works in the way I wanted it to. Oh, I can feel fallout. Yeah, I can tell this formula is definitely a lot closer to Total Eclipse than to their other palettes. And once again, my desk is covered in fallout. Going back in with a bit more of Flirt. And this is why I'm kind of glad I didn't fork out £49 on the original, because I do seem to be struggling with this colour scheme. And then a bit more of Pose. It doesn't work, but now that I'm blending them out, it's also not terrible. It's just not great. A little bit more of Flirt. I feel like I am now building up a lot of product, so it may start getting textured. I'm just going back in with the M506 that I used for the black, just to blend them in, but I haven't added any more product. You know what, I think that's pretty actually. I feel like I'm happier with the cut crease than I am with my brow bone. Let's see if I can just do a little bit more blending. The black really does give it some depth. Depth. Oh, I really don't feel like I needed the brown at the beginning. Okay, I'll take it. It's not exactly what I was going for in the first place, but I will take it. I'm gonna jump into my Inglot gel eyeliner. Quickly do a little bit of liner, no wing, just kind of smoke it out. Next up, I am going to jump into one of the glitters, and I think that's going to be Icon. I have no idea what sort of brush to try and use with this, so I'm trying the Pro Arte Master Stroke Series 64. Oh, wow. Okay, this was a good choice. I know some people really hate pressed glitters. I don't really have too much of a problem with them. This particular one is very pretty. Oh, I love this shade. Gonna take the M506 again in some sort of attempt at blending out glitters, even though that's not really a thing. I feel like I can see a lot more of the black now as well, so let's go into my Zoeva 231 again. I was very close to giving up when I was just doing the blend, and now we've got this cut crease on. I like it. So I've quickly gone ahead and removed any fallout that I had, although you definitely can still see glitter, but there's nothing you can do about that. And then I've also primed my lower lash line with my P. Louise base. I was going to go in with the blue today, but I think I want to try Ruler. I think that's going to work better, and this one definitely feels like a creamy one. That is not what I want. Anyway, Morphe M508. I'm going to try and pack it on. Maybe not the right brush. Let's doing something but not really. I think I need something a bit softer. I'm just gonna go in with a flat eyeshadow brush. It's pretty, it's fine, it's not amazingly exciting. I think I'm going to try and deepen it up just a bit in the outer corner, so I'm just going to try and take a bit of flash on the same brush. Okay, I think it's done something. I'm just then also going to take my M506 again, right in that outer corner, and then the Morphe brush again. The colour combination is very pretty, and I'll tell you what, this palette... Thanks. Right, okay, I'm going to try and wrap this up because I'm not going to use any more of the eyeshadows right now, and I'm just going to go and do my face so that you guys don't have to put up with the noise. This is giving me ABH Norvina vibes, as in not the Norvina, oh thank you, not the Norvina separate range, but the original Norvina palette, which I got because I thought it looked really, really pretty, and then it didn't quite deliver on what I expected. But I feel like the colours I've got on now, the effect that I've got, that's what I expected that palette to be. So that is it for the eyeshadow. I'm going to go and do the rest of it off camera. I might add some liner detail, I'm not too sure yet, but I'm just going to go and do it all off camera so I can have the fan on. And when I come back, we'll have a chat on my final first impressions on this palette. Alright guys, here is the finished look. I hope you guys like it. I ended up going a little bit over the top on the bling today because it was kind of reminding me of the look that I did for my Total Eclipse palette review. So I was trying to make it look a little bit different, and I added a sun and a moon because why not? I felt like it looked cute. I've also finally transferred my Revolution Glass Shimmer Fix into another spray bottle. I said I'd do it months ago, I've only just done it. I want to know if the product gets stuck in this mister, and I can tell you for a fact whether it was this guy that was the issue or if it was the product. So we'll find out. So let's talk about this palette. The first thing I'm going to say is that I don't think this is going to be one of my favourite palettes by W7. I had to work quite a bit to get it to a point where I liked it a lot more than I do with, say, my Queen Bee palette or my Vivid Pigments palette. I was really, really hoping that the formula was going to be more similar to that, but I did feel like it was a bit closer to the Total Eclipse palette. It just started off so well with that first matte, and then I felt like things were maybe kind of going downhill. But the metallics do look nice, they're not the most intense ones, and I can tell that I do have a little bit of texture because they are those chunky, creamier formulas like the ones in the Total Eclipse palette. So again, not my favourite, but I like the finished look. I do think it's all come together, it works really well, and I mean, the pressed glitter, clearly I'm speechless. I really like the pressed glitter. Part of me does kind of wish that there were more mattes, however I don't think I necessarily want the two that were removed. I almost feel like they kind of made sense to be taken out, but I wish we did have a lighter pink. I don't think the amount of mattes is a problem though. You guys have heard me say several times before that I prefer a palette where there's, you know, more of an equal ratio of mattes to shimmers and metallics, or maybe even more mattes than shimmers and metallics. This one is obviously completely the opposite, but I don't think that's too much of a problem because you do have a good variety of metallics. You've got golds, purples, blues, pinks, so I feel like having slightly more neutral shades for your mattes, it's gonna work. Overall, for £6.95, I definitely don't think it's a bad palette. I think if you really want the colour scheme from the Amrezy but you can't afford the money, this is there. It's not a bad option. I just know that personally it's not going to be my favourite, and I do want to have another play around with it in the future. But I'm super pleased with the look that I created. It started off so wrong and I love how it's come out. So something good has come out of this video. If you enjoyed this video, then do as always, please give it a big thumbs up, leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of it, and of course hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on my next videos, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye guys!